On Triton 9, the water isn't just a medium, it's a sledgehammer. Most people think the deep ocean is a place of silent, stagnant cold. They haven't been to the cyclone corridors. Here, the moon's erratic tides and thermal vents create subaquatic jet streams that can strip the paint off a submarine in seconds. But the currents aren't just a natural phenomenon. They are a weapon. This is the territory of the current kings. They are massive, four-winged rays, evolutionary marvels of hydrodynamics that can manipulate the flow of the ocean itself. By undulating their vast, obsidian-hard wings in a specific rhythmic sequence, they create localized vortexes, underwater tornadoes with enough centrifugal force to tear apart a deep-sea refinery as if it were made of wet cardboard. They don't bite, they just spin the world until you're nothing but scrap and pulp. The tragedy at the Maelstrom base was our wake-up call. The facility was designed to withstand a direct hit from a torpedo. It wasn't designed to be inside a blender. A single current king circled the base for 3 hours, tightening its vortex until the structural pillars simply twisted and snapped like twigs. We found the remains scattered across 5 kilometers of seafloor. To the kings, our structures are just obstacles in the stream, and our presence is an insult to the flow. But humanity is the only species that knows how to dig its heels in. We created the 30-second heavy stabilization unit, the Tether-Titans. We don't try to outswim the kings. You can't outswim a tornado. Instead, we become part of the tectonic plate. We were the anchor-class exosuits, 4-ton behemoths of reinforced lead and tungsten. We don't have sleek fins, we have mag boots and pressurized pile drivers. We are the immovable objects of the abyss. If the king wants to move the ocean, he's going to have to move the planet with it. I am Commander Jax, the anchor vane. My suit is currently locked into 3,000 tons of basalt, and I'm about to stop the spin. The mission was a desperate stabilize and kill at the North Vent refinery. The alarms were screaming over the haptic link long before we even saw the beast. The water was already churning, a thick slurry of silt and shattered coral spinning at 80 knots. Deployment in 3, 2, 1. Drop. We didn't swim out of the airlock. We were ejected downward like ballistic slugs. I hit the seafloor with a metallic thud that echoed through the liquid in my lungs. Immediately, the current tried to take me. It was a horizontal wall of pressure, pushing me toward the dark maw of the trench. Mag boots to maximum. Plant the stakes. I roared, the vibration of my suit shaking my jaw. Titan 2 Sarah, stakes away. I'm anchored at 40 degrees. The torque is insane, Jax. My stabilizers are already at 80% load. Titan 3 Kale, I'm losing my footing. The silt is too soft. I'm going into the spin. I looked through my visor. Kale's massive orange suit was being lifted off the ground, the current catching the broad plates of his armor. He was being dragged into the vortex like a leaf in a storm. Kale, fire the harpoon tether. Target the pylon. A streak of white-hot tungsten shot out from Kale's chest cannon, the cable trailing behind it. It slammed into a reinforced refinery pylon, the barbs locking deep into the steel. Kale's suit jerked to a halt, the cable snapping taut with a sound like a violin string under too much tension. He was hanging in the current, vibrating violently, but he was no longer a victim of the spin. Then the king showed itself. It emerged from the darkness of the upper corridor, a shadow that blotted out the distant lights of the refinery. It was a gargantuan manta ray, 500 feet of sleek, obsidian muscle. Indigo bioluminescent patterns pulsed across its wings, rhythmic and hypnotic, synchronized with the undulation of its flight. It wasn't just swimming, it was conducting a symphony of destruction. It tilted its wings and the vortex tightened. The pressure sensors in my suit began to wail. The centrifugal force was trying to pull the atoms of my armor apart. Target the wing joints. Use the turbine spikes. I crouched low, digging my mag boots deeper into the basalt. I deployed my own hip anchors, 2-inch thick tungsten cables that shot deep into the tectonic plate. I was locked in. I raised my right arm, the turbine spike launcher humming as the massive drill missile began to spin. The king saw me. It realized I wasn't moving. It banked hard, diving directly toward me, its wings creating a wake that felt like a physical blow. It intended to crush me with the sheer force of its passage. I waited. I let the torque build. I let the vortex try to scream me into oblivion. Now, I fired. The turbine spike shot out, powered by a high-pressure jet. It wasn't a projectile meant for distance. It was a weapon of raw, spinning energy. The drill bit bit into the leading edge of the king's left wing. The creature shrieked, not a sound of air but a massive low-frequency pressure wave that cracked my visor. The spike didn't just pierce, It stayed attached, its internal turbine spinning at 10,000 RPM, tearing through the obsidian-hard cartilage. The king's rhythm was broken. The perfect undulation that maintained the vortex faltered. He's wobbling. Hit the other side. Sarah and Kale, still tethered but stable, unleashed their own spikes. 2 more drills slammed into the leviathan's secondary wings. The current king was no longer a master of the flow. It was a wounded beast struggling against its own maelstrom. The vortex collapsed into a chaotic mess of turbulent water. The king tried to flee, beating its wings frantically to rise into the upper jet streams. Oh no you don't. Reel him in. I activated my suit's winch. 4 tons of industrial power began to pull against 500 feet of alien muscle. The tungsten cables hummed, the friction against the water creating a faint blue glow of Cherenkov radiation. We were playing a game of tug-of-war with a god. My suit's internal temperature began to spike. The hydraulic fluids were reaching the boiling point. Warning, joint integrity critical. I ignored the HUD. I dug my boots in so hard the basalt beneath me began to shatter. Hold the line, Titans. Don't let him catch the stream. The king let out one final desperate pulse of bioluminescence. It flapped its wings with enough force to create a localized cavitation bubble, a vacuum that tried to implode my suit. I felt my chest plate buckle inward, the pressure against my ribs becoming agonizing. But the anchors held. The king's wings, torn by the turbine spikes and exhausted by the fight against the tether, finally gave out. The creature's obsidian hide couldn't handle the tension. With a sound like 1,000 wet sheets tearing, the primary wing cartilage snapped. The leviathan went limp, the current it once controlled now tumbling its massive body uselessly across the seafloor. I didn't stop winching until the beast was pinned against the basalt, its indigo lights fading into a dull, dead gray. The silence that followed was heavy. The vortex was gone. The silt began to settle, drifting down like gray snow over the wreckage of the refinery and the corpse of the king. I stood up, my suit's hydraulics hissing as they bled off excess pressure. I retracted my anchors, the tungsten cables sliding back into my hips with a satisfying clank. I looked around. The North Vent refinery was a mess, torn panels, twisted pipes, but the main core was still humming. We had held the line. Sarah. Cal. Report. I'm good. My suit's a little twisted, Jax, but I'm still vertical. Tethers retracted. I think I've got a permanent vibration in my hands, but I'm alive. I walked over to the edge of the trench and looked out. The cyclone corridors were still there, the distant jet streams still roaring in the dark. But for today the water was just water. Humanity has proven the ultimate truth of the abyssal conquest. You can be the master of the current. You can turn the ocean into a blender. You can try to spin us into nothingness. But we are the species that knows how to anchor. We are the ones who dig in. We are the Tether-Titans. And we don't move for anyone. The king is dead. The vortex is gone. Triton 9 is stable. The mission is over. We're going back to the base. And someone, for the love of the stars, get me a chair that doesn't vibrate.